Well, Tyson and Emily, thanks for joining us, especially on this Friday the 13th.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, it is, isn't it?
yeah.
Nice.
Um, so our relationship with you guys is a little bit different than the typical sponsorship that we have with a lot of our vendors, because you guys are an integral part of our social advertising. And what we've been together for a little over a year now, wouldn't it be?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And we always do a monthly call with Tabitha and Brian over there.
Actually, I
We're
think we,
just going
we do
over.
it a little more often than that.
Hmm.
Is it every 2 weeks? What do you mean?
Yeah, I think it's every 2 weeks, yeah.
All right, maybe yeah. Time flies. But we were looking at the reports yesterday. It was some great uptick, man. Really excited.
Yeah, what you guys have done for Dealer Refresh on Facebook has been phenomenal. And we really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Well, I think it's a great partnership both ways because you guys have, we made you believers in what we do, and so it's a great partnership both ways. We we still hear on a lot of forums where dealers don't really believe in Facebook advertising, and it really just depends on the strategy you're doing. If you're just posting all of your for sale cars on your Facebook page and you're not doing any advertising and things, I would agree you're probably not selling anything. You're not seeing an ROI with Facebook. But if you do it right and you have the right data and targeting, you can absolutely increase your sales with social media.
That was actually my first question for you was how crucial is Facebook to dealerships with their digital marketing? And if the dealer isn't leveraging Facebook, what exactly could they or are they missing out on?
Well, obviously a biased opinion, but I've been in the industry for 20 years doing different capacities, and it should be a part of every dealership's strategy today. Now, some dealerships say, well, I could do this myself, so why would I hire a company? And in some aspects, they're correct. If somebody that knows what they're doing at the dealership that can take the right pictures and not just of cars, but of more the personality of the dealership and the
And who has the
community.
time?
Yeah, it's an investment, and making sure that person doesn't get turned over can be a struggle. But now, especially with Facebook, it's the data that's the struggle.
Yeah.
Is having that the good data that you need. That we have a partnership with a company that's not cheap, but it's important if you want to get down to very, very specific information, down to models and the people that you really want to be advertising to. You, in a lot of cases, unfortunately for dealerships, you almost don't have a choice if you want to do it right to have a partner like our company and other companies in the industry. But yeah, I think it's part of that core of what every dealership should be doing today is social media. And people don't go to Facebook to buy a car. That's one of the things we get pushback on sometimes. But there are a lot of people on Facebook right now in your market that are also in market to purchase a vehicle. So why wouldn't you want to advertise to those people?
I don't go to Facebook to buy a pair of new sneakers, but somehow at least once a month,
Yeah.
a new pair of sneakers are showing up at my house.
Yeah, it happens. They do a good job of letting you know things sometimes you don't want or don't need. But hey,
Exactly.
Apple has done, they took off selling people things that we didn't realize that we needed in our life, and now is kind of a crucial part of most of our lives.
Yeah.
Back
to the data
Kickstarter has been
Sorry, Alex, go ahead.
I guess I was just going to say the Facebook ads. I find myself interacting more with Facebook ads than posts now. I find they've really dialed me
Christmas
in.
season.
Yeah, well, even outside of Christmas season, it's like they figured out what's relevant to me. And I'm a sucker for Kickstarter things because I like innovation. And so anytime I see Kickstarter, I'm like, boop, in. All right, let me go click that and see what it's about. And I've definitely made a few purchases off of that this year.
Oh, your headphones.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Is that board of headphones still right beside of you?
Yeah, it's right there.
Got like 30 pairs of headphones lined up on the wall.
Yeah, I get advertised all the time, different analytics and things like that for running a company, and a lot of things that I think people are advertising towards executives, CEOs of tools they may want. I get those all over my feed. So you can tell that the targeting that they're doing is based on some of the things that maybe I've clicked on in the past, or
they heard you speak while you had the app on your phone.
Right. Following me around, and yeah.
You mentioned data earlier. You said something about not so much outsource, but you work with a company in order to grab that data. What type of changes happened whenever that whole Cambridge thing went down? And I think they cut off the ability, I guess, to have those analytics and data within Facebook in order to deliver the ads. Like, what exactly went down? What kind of changes did you guys see, and how is it different now in the way you have to implement this?
Yeah, I'll let Emily answer that, because she's in that world every day and sees it.
Yeah. So
actually, before you start, Emily,
yeah,
can you tell us who you are and what you do?
Sure. Yeah. Hey everyone.
We know. I guess I should assume.
Sorry, we jumped right in today. So.
Yeah. No, my name is Emily Bauer, and I am a social media strategist for Dealer Authority. And I'm based in Raleigh, North Carolina. So if anybody out there is watching from the North Carolina area, hey guys. But I've been in social media in some sort of capacity pretty much since graduating college, which for you guys might not seem like that long. But so even within, like 4 or 5, 6 years working in social media, seeing the changes just feels like they're just constantly coming. So I guess as a strategist, our job is not only to know and understand the platforms, but also to know how to roll with the changes that come, all the time. So
I don't know how you keep up with it. I
it's
think
a lot. Yeah.
Training myself and keeping up with it probably about 2 years ago.
Yeah. It's a lot. And now, not to get too far off topic, but now everybody's talking about like TikTok, and is TikTok the new Snapchat? And I'm like, oh God. And I have a younger sister. I'm like, Erin, show me how to use this. It's a lot. It's a lot to keep up with.
Yeah, that's a great point, because it's when we started the company, which was actually 6 years ago today, it's our company birthday anniversary today, which is exciting.
Well, congratulations.
Wow.
Thank you. But when we first started, we weren't doing Facebook ads. We were posting 5-6 times a week, managing Twitter accounts, things like that. Instagram wasn't a thing we were talking about, and people tended to think that was the younger folks that aren't really buying cars or the type of cars we want to sell. And now the younger generations are getting off of Facebook, because that's where all my parents are at and everything else. So you're seeing a shift. And even with like the last elections, you saw a lot of people, I think, starting to move towards Instagram more, because you don't see as much political on Instagram as you do Facebook. So it'll be interesting over the next year where the shifts are with social media and things like Snapchat and TikTok. I hope that's not our future, but we never know.
Be prepared.
Yeah.
Well,
but we do
an
test
election year, so the people who do love to talk about politics are going to be heavy on Facebook.
Right. And we see even this time of year right now, the budget for a dealership, you don't get as good a results with the exact same budget, because every company out there that's trying to sell something is advertising on Facebook. So the cost per click goes up this time of year. So there is a lot of things that we've got a great team that have a lot of experience that they're chatting all the time and letting each other know what they're seeing and we're testing. We have really good clients too that kind of like to push the envelope. There, you know, a lot of dealerships go with the OEM factory programs, and we
That's
tend
not really
to,
pushing the envelope, is it?
no, we tend to go with the dealerships that say, well, I don't really care about co-op. I care about selling cars. So they're the ones that they like to be aggressive. And if we have something we want to test with them, they're all over it. They really, you know, they jump all over that with us.
So, you know, we're all here today, mostly because you guys hit us with some stats about the conversion you're seeing from Facebook. And that's what we wanted to talk about, because you're really doing something different in pulling it off. And it's something I think the Dealer Refresh community should hear about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, your community is well educated, so Facebook advertising, we probably don't have to convince too many of them why it's important. But we have a solution called Drip, and our team has really done a nice job with Jill first kind of jumping in with the idea and creating it, and with Brian, and now Emily. Emily's really organized, and she has almost an engineering / creative brain, which I don't know how that happens, but she's done a really nice job of taking over being the product manager of Drip, and has really taken the solution to the next level. Do you want to kind of go into some of the details of what it is, Emily?
Sure. So everybody knows what Drip email marketing is. So we're basically taking that idea and putting it in social media, mainly on Facebook, because that's where our clients are and where our clients' customers are. But we're starting with, you know, sort of like a top level, for sake of simplicity, we just call them buckets of different website traffic that we see coming to your site. And this is from all sources. So, you know, if you have PPC running, other Facebook ads, all the traffic that goes to your website is then going to get funneled into your Drip campaign. And so some dealers, we see high traffic coming to specific models. And other dealers, we see traffic coming to more like specific body styles. So there's sort of a template, but we look at each dealership individually and what their customers are interested in to kind of build out their specific Drip campaign. But I guess the strategy when we're looking at Drip is somebody comes in, let's say they look at a Highlander. So we're going to serve them a Highlander ad, and then based on the actions that they do or don't take when they get that ad, determines the next type of messaging that they're going to receive. So it, you know, it kind of funnels out down the line, and
So
we give them.
This isn't just your typical remarketing campaign. You guys are actually looking at what data, you're pulling analytics from the website, seeing what they're doing. Is there any other type of data that you're using in order to determine what and when you're going to serve the customer?
So we're using where they're coming on the website, and then we're also implementing a time frame. So people who visit the website within the past, depending on the dealership's traffic levels, it could be anywhere from 30 to 45 to 60 days. And then that's just to fill those top buckets with customers so that we have enough to deliver the ad. And then from there, it's all data from within the Drip campaign.
Okay.
So depending on the actions they take or don't take with the retargeting, then we will continue to move them into different advertising based on their action or lack of action. So we may, next we do a video. Do they interact with the video? Do they watch the video? What % of the video they watch? If they watch a decent % of it, meaning it seems like there's more interest, the next step, they'll go somewhere different than somebody that didn't click on it at all. So it's a lot of if-then situations. So depending on what we deem as your interest level, you'll get different messages the next time. So we have offers that we try to get with the dealership on special offers that they would have as well that would differ depending on the interest level. So yeah, it definitely, the thing that we've learned with this, it is definitely not cookie cutter that we can say this works for all dealerships.
Mhm.
Depending on the market, the manufacturers they have, we have to tweak it for every single delership. Every one of them is just a little bit different than the next. So we
Yeah.
have meetings all the time with sort of small group of our team to figure out what are the things we need to, what we know now, what levers to push to get the results that we're looking for if we don't see a metrics.
Tyson, how long have you been a vendor?
Since 98.
You just broke the golden rule of being a vendor. Never let a dealer admit that his market's different than everyone else's.
I've never heard that before. Have you? Well, we're different than probably most dealerships you work with. I mean, the reality is they all are different in some ways. There's always some common things that you hear, but there is differences with each one, and that's where we're working with other companies where we kind of take pride with ours is that we are a smaller sort of I hate to call it a niche company, but we tend to customize our approach with all of our solutions based on the dealership and what they want to accomplish, as opposed to fitting everybody in the same bucket.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I mean,
yeah,
social is such a, everyone's got their own buttons to press kind of thing. So you definitely need to make sure you're pressing the right ones for the right people.
Right. And even I saw a thread with PPC the other day that people were talking about PPC, and this one dealership was spending like $12,000 on pay-per-click per month. Then they went with a different vendor and dropped their budget to like $4,500 and said they were getting more better results with the lower budget. But they went from one of the big companies to somebody that didn't just put a mileage radius and on their dealership, but actually looked at a true strategy for them, and they're getting better results with a lot less money.
Well, it's amazing what you can do with an advertising budget when you actually pay attention to who you are advertising to.
Right.
Yeah.
So much money gets wasted when you're just blanket marketing.
Right.
Yeah.
What kind of results are you guys seeing?
We've seen really good results so far with it. It's what we look at a lot of different analytics with it. We try to break out the different type of leads that come in based on either phone call, even chat tools, based on lead forms. But I know one of the stats that got your attention was one of our clients was getting a 29% lead submission rate, which was obviously really good. But I mean, the reality is you spend so much money at a dealership trying to get people to fill out a lead form, test drive, get them to come into the dealership. When you finally get somebody to your dealership, I mean, those are your prime people that you have to stay in front of. Just like when you have somebody come in and walk in your dealership, man, you got to get them in a test drive. You got to get them to sit down and talk pricing and work the deal. That it's just essential. So that's where, as much as we like to pull them in the dealership, we're trying to, you got these people that came to your website. We now need to stay on top of these people because we know that most of the time car buyers, when they finally get to the dealership's website, they're buyers. They're doing their research and everything other places. So you need to stay on top of those people because you're spending a lot of money on advertising getting them there.
Yeah.
You said earlier that every drip campaign typically isn't the same because you work, hands-on with the dealership. You try to see what's moving that customers, their buyers out there. How are they different? Are you seeing any type of specific content that really resonates with the Facebook audience?
I'll take that one. So obviously
Emily, could you answer that one for us?
yeah, the first step of the drip campaign is obviously going to resonate highly, just because that's top of mind for people, and that's the first ad that they're seeing. But then as you move down and you get into different messaging, Tyson mentioned earlier, a lot of our dealerships are providing a special offer, sort of as a last-ditch effort for people who haven't interacted with a trade evaluation ad, or they haven't interacted with the Why Buy ad, or they haven't interacted with the test drive ad. But they're still getting these ads. They're still seeing them and opening them. They're just not engaging within the ad itself. So they're still in market, and those special offer ads are typically anywhere from $250 to $500 more towards your trade or off the purchase of a new vehicle. They vary depending on the dealership, but those at the bottom of the campaign funnel, those are a good way to sort of like clog, the dropout, and avoid getting, customers who are disaffected customers, and helping bring them into the showroom.
So it is some type of incentive whenever you're
Yeah.
displaying,
Yeah.
whether the price off or, extra money for your trade, some type of direct incentive,
Mm-hmm.
you're saying tends to have the better results.
Yeah. Just because as you funnel through, the messaging, is different, and if for some reason somebody gets put in a bucket that maybe that's not quite the right messaging, but they didn't interact, with the ad, but they are like really intent to buy, and then they don't interact because maybe that messaging doesn't speak to them, that last offer is going to be the differentiator between them, going to the dealership down the road versus your dealership.
When you're working with a manufacturer that doesn't allow any type of incentive advertising, is this a way around that? Because even though, example with Mercedes-Benz, we're not allowed to advertise or offer any type of incentive to the customer unless it's direct from Mercedes-Benz, which is always a pain in the ass to deal with. But if the customer has contacted or done business with us before, and we can send some type of direct message, at that point we're allowed to advertise, money off, any type of special incentives that isn't being advertised in Mercedes-Benz corporate. Would this justify that? Would this allow you to, the customer maybe hasn't actually contacted you, but they've been on their website, you're able to just deliver that message directly to that customer on Facebook. Are you working with any dealerships that are in that same scenario? And if so, how's that working out?
We don't have anybody who's in that situation. So if you want to be the first.
I had a funny feeling that was going to come my way.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is, if another dealership doesn't see it, but it's a direct, right. message to that particular person. They're the only one that's going to be able to see it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is very specific to that.
Yeah.
It's an interesting concept. I think you have a case for sure for that. In that case, normally if they said no, we would focus on additional trade-in, type of incentives or something like that. But yeah, that's an interesting question that we can look into that for you. We haven't run into that with the manufacturer that we had an issue with that, but yeah, that's intriguing. I would think you would have an argument that wouldn't be an issue because, like you said, you're directly advertising to somebody that has engaged. It's just a matter of what they consider engaging with you.
Yeah, exactly. But if they're the only one receiving that message,
right,
then no one else is going to see it, so why would it matter?
Right, exactly.
Couldn't even get caught.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm writing that down.
So back to the data thing, we never really answered that with you, Emily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What type of changes did you see after the Cambridge incident and all that good stuff? And how are you able to, work those analytics and data into your ad serving?
Yeah, so before that whole thing happened, all of the third-party data was built into the Facebook platform. So we didn't have to, find an alternative
Mhm.
way. It was just in there and we could select it when we were building out our campaigns. And then Cambridge Analytica happened and Facebook said, we're not doing this anymore. You're going to have to, fend for yourself and figure it out. And so we now have a partner. We partner with a company and then through a series of steps, upload that data in the back end.
Okay.
So the process itself is not really all that different. We just have to build our audiences in a slightly different way. One of the things that is different is the fact that before Cambridge Analytica, there was a data fee that was built in to Facebook. And then afterwards, now we are responsible for that data fee. So as far as charging Facebook, let's say you had a $10 budget, Facebook would take a percentage of that before and pay it to the data companies. And now we have to pay that to the data companies.
Right. So there's more transparency.
Yeah.
I think it is a little bit of a negative for the average dealership because now they don't have the same data that we have.
Yeah.
It's difficult to get that same level down to specific models and zips and things. So yeah, they've tried. Facebook basically tried to wipe their hands of it and say, hey, if something goes wrong again, it's not our fault. It's these data companies' fault. And so we did a lot of research, a lot of meetings, and it turned out to not be that big of a deal for us. And I don't know if it was just because we were well prepared. I feel like we have better data now than we did before, and there's a little more transparency than there was before. But
Yeah.
I think from your average dealership, it is a little bit more difficult now because you don't have that same data at your fingertips that you did before. So
And
maybe in a way it's good for us, but not great for your average dealership.
Another thing, I know this has been a topic in the forum, but another thing that is making it more difficult for dealers who don't have access to third-party data is the special category. Special categories further restricts your targeting ability on Facebook.
What would a special category be?
It's for credit, housing, or employment. So if you're running an ad for any of those types of content,
Yeah.
or even if your ad doesn't say anything about those, but it lands on a page that does, then you're required to, categorize your ads appropriately, or else they won't run, and you could get in even bigger trouble.
Yeah, we were having that conversation over in the forums a couple weeks ago. You're right.
Yeah.
We got a lot of dealerships that are trying to run their own ads and they hit that roadblock. And they're not.
Yeah,
they're either
they
not
don't
true.
want.
I even hit it myself after doing it a few times. It's like,
Yeah.
there's nothing even really in the ad that says, we don't talk about financing, we don't talk about banks, we don't, but yet for whatever reason, it would block my ads.
Well, technically, the way it's worded now, when you click on the ad, if it takes you to like a VDP page that has a monthly payment on it, they consider that a ding, that you can get rejected for that. And what dealership doesn't have this vehicle is $5.99 a month on their page, and you click on it and you can change the criteria, and then it'll tell you what your payment is based on that. Technically, that would put you out of compliance for that. So that's part of it. Now, they're not always consistent with that, but that is an issue.
So how would a dealership get around that? Or how are you guys getting around that for dealerships?
Well,
go ahead.
We do the special ad categories, and that in conjunction with our data partner, we're still able to effectively hit people who are in market people who are looking for financing, people who are in certain credit tiers. So
Yeah, you can't exactly call a dealership and tell them they gotta take all their payment options off the VDP.
No, that's probably a bad call.
then they would
Well-
all say click for price and nobody would call.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing you could do is land people on landing pages. So as opposed to just throwing them right into inventory, we found that to get people that you don't know if they're ready to look at a specific vehicle right when they click on the ad. So putting them on a really good landing page that talks about that type of vehicle, that model, and then gives options. If it's a second click to get there, you're okay. They only look at the first click. So if you have then new and used vehicles and financing big buttons at the bottom of that page to go to inventory, then you're good to go. So that is a workaround with it, and you get some SEO value if you're building the good content as well.
Mhm. Yeah, I just hate to have to put that extra click in front of the customer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a good question coming through from Chris Leslie. Before I ask it on his behalf, I also have to ask Jeff, something going on between you two right now?
Between who?
You and Chris Leslie. He's wondering if you can sell your body. So
Wow.
Chris is the stud, man.
That might be another segment.
yeah. Another show, another day, another time. Right after the sun's
That's a payment option.
So-
Right.
He's got a great question for you guys, Tyson and Emily. And I lost it. Jumped through. There we go. All right. So out of all the ads you guys run, what are the top 3 characteristics of ads that convert?
That's a good question. The first 2 things that come to mind are going to be your copy and obviously having appropriate images that are going to look good and that people, want to interact with. If you post a picture of a vehicle and it's like, half in the shade, half in the sun, dirt on the wheels, like that's not something that I want to advertise on your behalf because I know that that's just not going to look as good. But for converting,
I would say mobile too.
yeah,
Mobile tends to convert quite a bit higher.
yeah,
So we do a lot of A/B testing, looking at desktop versus mobile. So mobile is another thing, and that tends to convert really well for us. Collection ads for a used car tend to convert better as well.
mhm,
I think too, making something that's aesthetic isn't always the thing that converts the best. We used to do a lot of ads that were just unbelievably these beautiful ads we were so proud of, and then we started looking at the conversion on them, and they weren't nearly as good
How do you
as.
think that is? Because we've talked about this many times on Dealer Refresh, all the way back to what,
Yeah.
maybe 10 to 15 years ago. It's like sometimes the ugly shit converts better.
I think part of it is when we're scrolling through Facebook and we're not going there to buy, we're scrolling, we're used to all the crappy selfie pictures and stuff like that the quality stings. Our eye in 2 seconds can pick up an ad. It's less than that. I mean, we can pick up that, oh, that's a Shutterstock image. Even if you don't know Shutterstock, you can just pick out that picture of people in it that is
Too
models.
professional.
Yeah, it's too professional. So I think we quickly scroll through that where, I mean, you obviously don't want to have the car a mess and dirty and all that, but I think it does show sometimes the really, really professional, just like videos, you probably convert better with a video of the dealer standing out front and the sales guy taking a video with his iPhone than you would having a crew come in for the day and it's the same commercial you have on TV. You
yeah.
expect that on TV. On Facebook, it just does not convert as well.
Mhm.
Maybe you should let your cars go get go get a bunch of photos of your shitty wholesale cars. Just sort of the wow factor is like, have an old Yugo for, $20,000.
Yes,
Break down the payments for him.
we could test that.
Yeah.
You can do a weekly payment on that one.
Yeah.
Right.
Actually, I would do that back in the day. If it was a customer or a lead that just would not respond, we'd see that they're opening up their emails, but they were not responding back. I would send them, this was many years ago, I'd send them subject line, I found your next car, and it would be a picture of some beat up car that we just wholesaled in. Obviously it was a joke, but I just
Right.
wanted to see if they were still out there. And man, the response rate on that was stupid.
That's great.
It would definitely open up the lines of communication.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes it was a big F you, but at least I knew where they stood.
Right. Right. That's like the emails you always get with, I haven't heard from you. It must be one of these three things. And, yeah.
It takes you back to elementary school.
Right.
Want to go out with me? Check yes or no.
Right. Right.
So you're
Now you're just asking for a friend.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Asking for a friend. I know your focus a lot is on the Facebook platform. Are you looking at Instagram? Can a dealership utilize Drip for Instagram? And if so, what's the sway in results?
So we can run Drip on Instagram. Tyson, if you want to talk about our Instagram offerings a little bit more. We don't currently have any clients running Drip on the Instagram platform, but it is doable. So if that's something somebody was interested in.
Why wouldn't they though? I mean, I know for me personally, I find myself on Instagram more than Facebook anymore.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. I think it's something, Drip is something that we've been testing for over a year. And when we started, it was, just on the Facebook platform. And now that Instagram is coming more to the forefront of social, I would love to run it on Instagram for a client and see, what the results are like. The audiences are a little bit different. Just
I was going to say, when it comes
which
down
platform.
to the data and collection of that data in order to offer it up, is it different between Facebook and Instagram?
The targeting is not different because Instagram is owned by Facebook.
Yeah.
The difference is going to be the audience that's on each platform. So if you know that you have a lot of younger people coming into your dealership who are in the market for a new or pre-owned vehicle, and they're more likely to be on Instagram, then you may see a better cost per result than somebody in a dealership who maybe is in a more not so urban area, and maybe their audience is not so much on Instagram. But it's something that we would have to test and see what the numbers look like. But I mean, you can definitely do it on Instagram, and if you have a great following on that platform, I think it would be well worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're starting to really push Instagram. A lot of our clients have been a little hesitant on it, but they're finally coming around. It's sometimes a little late adoption with new things, and Instagram's been that a little bit over the last year or two. But the clients, we have quite a few now that are on Instagram, and so we can really look at the analytics on it, and the quality of the traffic is amazing. So the time on site, everything about what we're seeing with Instagram would lead us to believe that dealerships should absolutely be on Instagram. I think it's almost surprised us too how good the quality is. So it's not, if people think that Instagram is just really young people that probably can't afford to buy a car, that's
Definitely not.
completely
Now TikTok maybe, but
yeah, that's completely not accurate at all. So yeah, Drip can absolutely work on Instagram, and it wouldn't surprise me if we start to have a few clients that are utilizing it in Q1 this year for sure. So we could probably call a few of them right now, and they would want to test it out, because we have quite a few that like to try out new things.
Something from left field. What about LinkedIn?
Yeah, we get that a
I don't-
lot. The questions about it. There's an opportunity with LinkedIn. We've done some testing of our own with LinkedIn. It's a little pricey sometimes.
Really?
Yeah, but
I advertised, I did some dealer ads on LinkedIn, but I mean, this was years and years and years ago. It was, if I'm not mistaken, it was actually when they first had opened up the ability for, individual companies to be able to advertise.
right.
I mean, obviously the results were just horrible, especially for the price even back then.
Yeah.
But as it's grown, I've always wanted, especially if you're selling high-end cars, you go directly after CEOs, people that, are in a higher position that they're making, X amount more money. Always been interested in that.
Would you say that Instagram is lower volume, higher quality? What you're pulling off of it when you do?
Yeah, that's absolutely what we've seen.
Did I say it's? I meant LinkedIn.
Oh, LinkedIn.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, LinkedIn for us, what we've done in the past, and we've had success with Facebook doing this too, is the nice thing is about it looks at previous companies and things like that. So when you're looking to hire management positions, or even other position receptionists to techs and things like that, it's a good place to advertise. We almost all of our employees, if we didn't get them through word of mouth, was through LinkedIn and Facebook ads. So there's and I know a lot of dealerships struggle hiring. They're always looking for techs and things like that. It's a great place to advertise, and for something like that, you could do a fairly small budget, and you can target other local businesses that you would want to pull people from.
Yeah, I've always been interested to maybe try it out for fleet. After some larger fleet companies,
Right.
that are looking for 5, 6, 7 cars, or even with conversion vans.
I was gonna say it's a great.
But again, you go, okay, is there really a benefit ever spending money there versus Facebook whenever you've got so much more data that you can rely on?
Right. Yeah, and for business to business type, that I see where people use LinkedIn more compared to business to consumer type of things. But there is some value, I think, in LinkedIn that's probably underutilized by a lot of people, because it is mostly strictly business to business. I know it seems like 70% of the time when I get a request to LinkedIn somebody, I'm going to get an email 5 minutes later. Hey, thanks for the connection. Can we have 10 minutes? Which I get. I used to do that too in a former life.
You're one of those assholes.
Yeah, I've done the same thing. So,
yeah. Well,
so with the name being Drip, how long do you find that how long are those campaigns lasting? Are you campaigning to a particular customer for one day, obviously longer than that, but a week, 2 weeks? Is there any type of sweet spot that you're seeing?
So when we set these up for a new client, we tell them we need at least 2 to 3 months before we're going to see, the funnel fill up and how the traffic is performing throughout the whole campaign. And then like I talked about earlier with the time frame implementation, usually at the top level, it varies depending on the dealership and their volume of website traffic. But then as you move through and you drip down, we're mainly doing about 4 weeks for each ad level, 30 days.
Yeah. And the key to what Emily said too is it does some of the factors. Volume of traffic is important, because you have to have so many people that are actually coming to the website that you can retarget and expect to have results on it.
Is there a minimum amount of numbers that you typically see?
We prefer our audiences be at least above 1,000
Okay.
to start with. Just if it could be more, that would be preferable. 1,000 minimum is kind of the baseline before Facebook says, your audience isn't big enough, we may not deliver your ad. And then when you consider that, let's say you have 1,000, and then those 1,000 people are going to drop into 3 different buckets, then your audiences become smaller and smaller. So depending on the client, if it's a more rural client, then we may extend the window of time to get more customers in. But just off the top of my head, some of the audiences that I saw the last time I was doing some updates, they ranged between like 2,000 and 5,000 people.
Okay.
So, and then as they work through, those audiences get a little smaller.
So there is a question from Chris Leslie again, and I warn you, he does ask some hard-hitting questions. He's always good for that every show. And he's wondering why 90 days is necessary if you're buying data from third parties already to get in-market shoppers right now.
Yeah, so because we're using the targeting in the step 2, 3, 4 ads to target in-market shoppers, what we're expanding that first level of drip advertising is specifically just from website traffic. So yes, you can target people who are in market for a certain type of vehicle, and the smallest max in market audience is a time frame of 90 days. So if we only did 30 days and the audience size is less than 1,000, we need to expand it to 45, 60 days, just kind of seeing what's going to work for that specific client to pull in the maximum amount of people who are in market within that time frame, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you need to expand the pipe, basically.
Right.
Broaden.
Yeah. And we look at the sources throughout the website as well. So we're, like Emily said early on in the conversation, that depending on the type of vehicles they look at, whether it be an SUV, and sometimes we get as specific as a model, they get different ads. So you do have to have a decent amount of people, or Facebook won't even let your ads go live. So you'll hit activate and they'll just sit there.
Well, he's got another, Chris Leslie, that is, has another good question. And by the way, when he's pumping comments and asking questions, he's got his attention. And Chris is sharp dude.
Very true.
Yes. We need to have him on the show again, by the way. But he's asking, how many buckets on average does a customer drip into before converting?
Oh, that's a good question. So right now, across our clients, I would say 3 to 4 is what we're working with now. And then of course we have that special offer ad that catches the bottom of the funnel as well. That's a step 4 or 5.
So which step, Emily, would you say converts? Obviously, every step you go down, there's less people. What's the thing that you think converts the most? What type of ad?
So usually it's the I've seen it the step 3. If for majority of our clients, the step 3 is going to be a trade evaluation. So they've already gotten, hey, we know you're interested in this vehicle or this body style. And then step 2, hey, we know you're still interested and you haven't submitted a lead. Why don't you come take a test drive? And then they still haven't submitted a lead. Okay, we're going to hit them with, we know you are in the market. We know you are interested in buying. You're interacting with our content. Why don't you see what your trade is worth and let's make a deal?
Because that's what every dealership loves, trade-in leads.
So there's
Yeah.
there's another, I keep getting flack for this because we never go back and reintroduce our guests, nor do we actually go back and say what we're talking about for people who come in a little late. So
Yeah.
Someone's always giving you shit about that, Alex.
yeah, and now there's Veronica Smith who is coming in asking if we're converting to penicillin. What conversion are you talking about?
Oh, nice. Nice.
See, my answer to that is join us in the beginning. You won't have to ask.
Yeah.
Yeah, some
Up on time,
sportscasters, they'll have the little timer thing where every time, it reminds them to say what the score is or something like that when they're on the radio. So,
All right, let's go
Just
for a
need that.
commercial break and we'll be right back.
right. Score is the.
So it is a valid question though. Are we converting to leads? Are we converting to sales? Are we converting to penicillin?
Yeah, we look at leads is the main thing that we focus on is filling out a
Calls
lead
as well
form.
as a lead, or
Calls.
just form?
Yeah, for a lot of our clients, we look at calls. We'll even look at if they started chats, if they use a chat service in there as well. And we try to break them out into different buckets so they can see where the conversions are. Not penicillin, though. We do not have that tracking yet.
No worries,
That's
Veronica.
better left to whatever Chris Leslie was suggesting for Jeff earlier. I think.
Yeah,
Um,
I'll get with Chris later on.
so
Well,
yeah, so 29%. I 29% increase in conversion. Can you guys define that one a little bit? We did talk about that in our email blast today to promote the show, and that was the leading line and one of the reasons why we're here. So
yeah, there you go. Hey, that's good marketing, right? Caught your eye. So yeah, we looked at specifically just the drip portion of it. Obviously, we're doing ads and engagement budgets for front-facing posts, but just for the drip solution and looking at the traffic we're getting, the clicks, and then looking at the actual conversion, which turned into some sort of communication, whether it be a lead form or a phone call, as a conversion of what we determined a conversion for our clients.
do you see, do campaigns ever work better? Do ad campaigns on Facebook work better if a dealership is more active on their actual dealership Facebook page? Does that matter at all?
In the past, I know that they've fueled each other in a way. So the more, I guess you could say, like, if you're interacting on your Facebook page, Facebook knows that you're a valid person, and you're out there in your community on Facebook interacting with people, which is then going to help your relevancy, which is going to boost your advertising. And then when you communicate with people in your ads, then they can funnel through to your page. So it kind of is like just a cyclical partnership.
Yeah.
I guess you certainly wouldn't want to run ads and not have a valid presence
Okay.
on Facebook.
Right, which is a little confusing. But yeah, the organic versus the paid, they don't tie as well as they used to because Facebook is a pay-to-play platform now.
It's all
And
about the money, man.
yeah, ever since going public, money does matter, profit matters. But yeah, so it is, and you can go to any dealership's Facebook page or any business and look at, some of them have really good posts and they'll have 0 to 2 likes, and it's usually the same people because they work at the dealership, and you can just tell that they're not putting any kind of engagement budget behind those posts whatsoever. And even it's almost worthless type posting then because it's just not being seen. So it is, you do have to put, and it doesn't have to be a huge budget by any means compared to typical advertising. It can be a fairly small budget and still be effective.
And we've been talking about your drip product, but you guys also offer services around organic as well, right?
Yes, we do. Pay-per-click, SEO, and social are our key solutions. We do some other consulting and things like that for some dealerships, but those are our kind of core solutions that we think that we can, manage services that we can help differentiate our dealerships and especially differentiate compared to some of the bigger box companies out there.
Yeah.
I won't say the
Big
name.
box. I don't know. I got a couple big boxes on my shit list right now.
Yeah, they kind of go in and out.
They do. They do.
Yeah.
One
Some
in
of them stay in there forever.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say.
Yeah. Yeah, some forums, it's funny. People, especially with like the GM changeover, people are asking, oh, what do you think of this company versus this company?
Yeah.
And you could just laugh like, oh, this will be a fun post. And you'll just see, people blow up and things like that. And, you guys get some really interesting comments and things about that too.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. But yeah, it is a challenge as you get large. You do have to sacrifice, sometimes the knowledge of your team and focus more on technology in its place. And I think you have to have a team of knowledgeable people that know what they're talking about, know the industry behind that technology, and not replace the knowledge with, use technology as a crutch.
May I add to that, Tyson?
Yeah.
There's another key word, and I think this is a big differentiator between the big boxes and the more innovative. The word is risk. If you're risk averse, then you're probably not going to be leading the way.
Mm-hmm.
But if you take a chance, sometimes those chances really pay off.
Right. Yeah, I like that.
There's actually I'll throw a thing in the forums later about different types of companies. I think there's the one side where you got companies who are jumping out of the airplane and trying to pack the parachute while they're falling. And then you've got, on the other side, you've got companies that are looking up at the sky saying, oh, cool plane,
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, and the problem with being at the top and being the big company is, and we've seen it, even outside of automotive, but if you're not innovating, at some point, somebody else is going to come up and knock you off your block. Like Dealer Inspire. I mean, Dealer.com, when I first started at Dealer.com, it was this tiny little office. Everybody had a dog at their desk, and it was like, what is this little company? And, it blew up, and now Dealer Inspire, no one had heard of them much before, and all of a sudden they have really blossomed. So if you're not innovating and you're a big company, you're kind of the sitting duck out there. So it is a challenge, though, when you start to get that big. How do you move the pendulum with your solutions and stay, innovative? When we had a client reach out to us that they were trying to get another company they partner with to put in Waze as a solution for them. And they've been asking them for months to do Waze. And she called me up and said, hey, we'd like to try Waze. The owner wants to try Waze. I'm like, okay, well, it's not one of our solutions. Let me look into it. And I said, okay, the minimum budget is this per day. Okay, cool. So we had Waze set up for them by the end of the day, where the other company was trying to figure out for months, what would the process look like internally? We need to train.
Do we need a reorg for this?
Right. Watch a couple YouTube videos, Google it, find out what other, businesses best practices. And so I think that is the challenge sometimes with the larger company, because it isn't just figuring it out quickly. You have so many people to train and so many layers that it does make it difficult to kind of customize advertising for individual dealerships.
If any of our listeners want to get in contact with you guys, they're interested in the Drip product, maybe some of your other offerings, what's the best way of doing so?
Yeah, just go to dealerauthority.com and check our site. We got a great page that talks about drip that they can watch a video. It's an explainer video that quickly kind of walks you through what it is if you're just joining now. And contact us. Jeff Glacken's our sales rep, and he's been in the industry longer than I have. So he started out in a service department and training dealerships and things like that in his career. So he's been around in the automotive industry for a long time. He can definitely talk through the details of our solutions to anybody.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, Tyson, Emily, it's definitely been a pleasure. We appreciate you guys joining us and going through the product. I know, I guess this was a little bit different dealer refresh Friday for us. But again, you guys have been such an integral part of our dealer refresh social presence and such a great partnership with us. So it was definitely an honor and enjoyed having you guys on.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. Thanks, Alex. I appreciate it.
You got it.
We're also gonna have another Refresh Friday next week. That's a little different. We'll be having a nationally syndicated automotive journalist come on and talk about writing better content.
Nice.
So
That'll be good.
Yeah, looking forward to that one.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome.
You folks have a great holiday, good Christmas, New Year, all that good stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You got it.
You guys too.
All right, thank you so much, and
All
we'll be back here next Friday.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.